Now from the Fort Wayne Acura Studios, local news, weather, traffic, and talk. It's Fort Wayne's Morning News with Charlie Butcher on News Talk 1190 WOWO and now on 92.3 FM.
Clear 36. Beautiful morning this morning. High today should be about sunny, be about 60, sunny and breezy today. Trans-Siberian Orchestra. They're in town, by the way, tomorrow evening in the Coliseum. It's an interesting show, as a matter of fact. Coliseum 7:30. We've got tickets for you. We've got the link for the band and the show and everything for you at WOWO.com on my website. They're in town, and it has to do with Beethoven's 10th Symphony. You ever heard of that? Now, Al, I have a bit of just a small amount of classical background. It's one of my favorite forms of music, has been for a long, long time, into Russian composers. But I do know enough that I don't think there's a 10th symphony. I don't think Beethoven had a 10th.
Well, then we'll have to come to the show in 2 nights and find out what became of that poor manuscript.
Isn't this the story of the 10th Symphony? Isn't this? Yeah,
just like Robert Johnson's 30th song, you know, very similar in the folklore part of what our boss Paul O'Neill has written into the story. Paulie likes to call it historically accurate, and might be historically accurate. You know, Beethoven was deaf. Beethoven was one of the greatest composers of all time.
True.
He wrote Moonlight Sonata and the Ninth Symphony when he could not hear the notes being played back to him. That's the tragic part of the story. The Robert Johnson-esque part of the story is that the devil's going to come down and barter for that elusive 10th Symphony. So you have the fire and brimstone angle of it. Did that really happen? Yeah, sure. It makes for a great story.
Boy, I cannot tell you how many nights I've been in barters with the devil. So I guess I could understand how that might be possible.
What I learned 17 years ago working for Paul O'Neill, as did Rob Evan and Chloe Lowry here with me today, is that there are only 12 notes in music. It's the combination of those 12 notes, the dynamics you can create that will create either the church music, which became classical, or everything else came from the blues.
Right.
So to separate those two never made sense to me after I discovered that the same notes that Beethoven used, so did Black Sabbath.
Isn't it interesting that with those 12 notes, disco aside, we haven't really started, doing repetition? I mean, there's still new creative ways to put those 12 together.
The disco aside part, I get a kick at.
I was a disco DJ for a long time. And
hey, brother, let me tell you something. In 1978, all things were perfect in 78. Ted Nugent and Aerosmith were like reigning champions where I grew up. And then John Travolta came out with that movie. And the next day, everybody came to school with those funny haircuts, huckaboo shirts, and puka beads. Yeah. Overnight, it changed the music business. So, with the exception of that genre of music, it has not repeated itself. Rachmaninoff did an interview before he died. His favorite new composer of all time were the Beatles. Because the hardest thing you could ever do is with all that's available to you as a musician, the simplicity of the most extraordinary melodies ever were written by those two guys from Liverpool. What you can do with those same building blocks, that's why music is what music is. So how do you get this gigantic sound that you guys get, and how many people do you actually tour with? Because listening to it, you would swear, Chloe, that there were, it was a full orchestra that toured with you guys, and I know that's not true. So how are you getting this gigantic full orchestra sound?
Well, there's about, I think, 16 or 17 of us on stage between singers and musicians, and then we always use a local string section to come in and help us make the string sections come to life. What do you do? I am a singer. You're a singer, okay. And Rob is Beethoven, I guess, tomorrow night.
What? I'm sorry, I'm deaf. I couldn't hear you.
That's why you play the piano on the floor all the time. Right. So tell me a little more about the story. What are people in for Wednesday night at the Coliseum?
Well, I mean, this show is so brilliant. I don't know if a lot of your listeners have seen our Christmas show, but what's so very cool about this, not only the story of, the non-fiction and fictional story of Beethoven and his life, but you get some of the most brilliant melodies, the 5th, the 9th, Ode to Joy.
Yeah.
I actually got married to Ode to Joy, which is kind of neat to hear the band light that up every night. You get to be entertained by some of the best musicians and singers that I've ever seen and had the pleasure of working with. And then you get this amazing light show, lasers, pyro. Right. It's all the stuff that people have grown to love about our Christmas show, but it's set around the life of Beethoven. And then in the second half, we also light up some of our newer material that it just becomes a good old-fashioned rock concert, but definitely something for the whole family. From 9 to 90, you'll see everybody fist pumping out there. It's a great time.
And the light show is what somebody said is reminiscent of
Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd, yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Pink Floyd. See, it's those disco years coming back. that was what that was.
I think they did a fifth. Didn't they do a disco version?
Yes, they did. It was.
Fifth.
It was.
We'll make you forget that.
Who did that? That was horrendous.
Well, when Kiss did a disco song, I knew it was the end of the era. I Was Made for Loving You came out, and it was like, we're done.
Yeah, that's the first Seal, by the way, in the End of the World. That was the very first opening of the Seal right there. That was the first one. All right, well, we're going to be giving away some tickets. It's Wednesday night in the Coliseum. Tickets are still available. You can get them by going to Trans-Siberian Orchestra's website. We've got a link for you at WOWO.com. Guys, it's been a pleasure. I wish we had another hour because I could talk to you about all kinds of stuff. And, next time. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Charlie.
Al Petrelli, musical director and guitarist for Trans-Siberian Orchestra, along with the ever-lovely Chloe Lowry and Rob Evan, who plays Beethoven. Caller number 15, 447-1190 or 1-800-333-1190. Picking up tickets to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra tomorrow evening in the